Word definitions and long-term cash. Word definitions and long-term cash. And you might be wondering what word definitions have to do with long-term cash, business strategy, and business value. And that's what I hope to explain today. And so what I'm going to do is go back a little bit in history, and then I'm going to give a specific example and hopefully a little surprise at the end. So earlier in my career, I worked in Benson and Bowles, which was an American-owned advertising agency. I was working in Knightsbridge, and I was working on the general foods business. And one of the characteristics of working on general foods business is that we had to develop something called a key consumer benefit. And this would be a short sentence which announced the benefits of the product that we were selling. In this case, it was coffee. I was struck by the fact that we could spend at least a year discussing one word of that key consumer benefits. And this drew my attention, to how important one word could be in the eyes of the customers that we were selling to. And this is today borne out by search engine optimization. One word can change the number of views from the thousands to the millions. So words are important, and word definitions are important in strategy, and that's really what I want to talk about. It's slightly embarrassing to admit it, but it took me about 25 years to finally get the strategy map. And the penny dropped when I went back to business school and I studied business strategy. But at the same time as studying business strategy, I was studying neuro-linguistic programming. And there was a model in the neuro-linguistic programming that brought it together for me. And it was logical levels, which took me into something called logical types. And this is logical types, without going into it in detail, is about the classification of information. So I became aware that the different words that we were using in strategy, which most people claim they understand, although I'm not sure that they really did. Most words could be classified into different logical types. And to mix up these logical types is really a cause of confusion and, on a personal level, insanity. So if you imagine that confusion and that insanity multiplied by 10,000 or 100,000 or however many people there are in your organization, it's clear to me that it's important to have clarity at the outset. So to give you an example, who I am is of a different logical type to the values that I hold, or the why that I'm doing something. And what I am doing is of a different logical type, specifically to who I am. But quite often these things get confused. So let me take an example of vision and mission. This is very common language in business strategy today, and to my mind, it's misused. So vision is something that we see. First of all, we assume that everyone sees a vision, which isn't the case, but let's just work on that assumption at the moment, that you can see clearly what your vision is. Most folk then make a restatement of their vision as their mission. So the vision might be to be the #1 brand in the world. The mission is then stated as, we want to be the #1 brand in the world, and what's more, we want to do it according to the following values. So there are a couple of things wrong with that. First of all, mission is something specific. If you understand the word, it's a specific objective. So you might want to be the #1 brand in the world, and then specifically, the mission might be to take the number one position in 10 of 20 markets. I'm just giving that as an example. So that would give you, if you like, a specific objective. If you then add in values into that rather vague mission statement that I gave you, I hope that you are now confused, because I am, and this is the effect that it has on the people that you work with and your customers. So the clarity of the word definitions at the outset directly affect the impact that you're going to have with your staff and in the market. So if you are clear, then what we know about clarity is that a clear proposition in the market strengthens sales over time, and a clear proposition in the market strengthens the brand over time. So the clarity of the word definitions automatically lead, if it's going to work at all, they automatically lead to long-term cash. And long-term cash is how people value your business. Okay? So the clarity of the word definitions directly lead to long-term cash. So here's the surprise, and it's a poem by Joseph Rudyard Kipling, who was born in Mumbai in India in 1865, and he died in London in 1936. Rudyard Kipling was a journalist, a novelist, and a poet. And he wrote, "I keep 6 honest serving men." This is just the first verse. "I keep 6 honest serving men. They taught me all I knew. Their names are what and why and when and how and where and who. I send them over land and sea. I send them east and west. But after they have worked for me, I give them all the rest."